Hi, folks. Now it is official. Bakhmut has fallen, was taken over by the Russian mercenary troops from Wagner PMC. This is official by the Ministry of Defense of Russia, so nothing new in that part. Zelensky was asked about this in Japan, where he met with the G7, and he said that they are still struggling, and they hold his troops hold the city, which is not accurate. Now it is in the big media everywhere that the Russians have taken the city. Zelensky was in the G7 asking for more money, a lot of money from the Americans, a lot of support from the Britons, and the Americans actually freed the license for the use of F-16s, British F-16s. So this is American-made aircraft, and they need the license from the Americans. So Biden gives this license to the British to give to the Ukrainians. So soon we will see at least these F-16s on the battlefield in Ukraine by the British support with the British machines. But this coalition, the fighter jet coalition that Zelensky wanted, that is not clear. I think that he couldn't get what he wanted from the French or the Germans still. So in any way, this is a major escalation again by the Britons, which is very worrying because this is they don't stop supporting this. And actually, Sunak said yesterday they won't give up. They will stand with Ukraine as long as they need. So that's why I see it very complicated. But we talked about that yesterday. By the other part, in the G7, there's not much more to say. I think this group is in great part responsible for what is going on in Ukraine. We all know. G7 is a fantasy group of the old rich that they want to secure a power that they don't have anymore, and they will do everything they need to keep this status quo from the last decade, I think wrongly and dangerously. In Lisbon, there was the meeting of the Bilderberg group. I know this is a very fascinating topic. People likes to know and to try to unveil what they are talking about. This is half public what they are talking about. Actually, they have a website now. They are not as secretive as they used to be before. I remember to listen about the Bilderberg group in 1995. Was an uncle of mine who knew about these guys and actually talked me about intelligence, artificial intelligence, and the automatization of the societies and all those things. And then I didn't know more about this group. I haven't read nothing. There was no internet. 95 was very incipient. The internet was very for a small group for the available connection. So next time I have read about Bilderberg, I was doing an internship in a newspaper in the international politics section in Lisbon, and in '99, in that time, they have this group have met precisely in Lisbon, in the outskirts, in Sintra. I remember well. I have received the telex. We have our system in the newspaper, and there was a small, very small, it was an English guy in the Algarve, in south of Portugal. He had a local newspaper who he talked about the Bilderberg, and I said, wow, this is a very big news. I didn't even talk with the chef of the international section because I knew that wouldn't be published for sure. This was 99. I copied this telex and I brought home to talk with my homies, and I gave them and I said, look at this. These guys are meeting here in Sintra, and this is very highly secretive, and they have license to shot dead anyone that attempts to invade the villa where they were meeting. And they look at that and they say, oh no, I don't believe this. I mean, I say, look, believe this, because these guys, I know, these are very powerful people. This is a very secretive thing. And this was 99. It was still, I haven't heard nothing from no one about this group until then. And some years later, in 2005, I think, was summertime, I entered in a bookshop in Barcelona and I saw a book from Bilderberg by Daniel Stulin, and wow, I bought it immediately, and I brought to the beach and read that in no time, and I find it very interesting. So this group exists. These are human beings that they are very important people in different fields, in military, in politics, in industrial trade, diplomacy, economy, that they put pressure on these people, and these people put pressure on their states. And this is how it works. And now they disclosed, actually, and I will put here down below the links to the list. The list, for example, you have here important people. For example, Pedro J. Ramírez, the director of El Español, a newspaper in Spain. Actually, he was the founder of El Mundo, very well known. He is there, for example, the press. The big press is there also present. Big pharma, all the big tech. This is how it works. You have Jens Stoltenberg from NATO. You have Mark Rutte from Prime Minister, Dutch Prime Minister, and many other important as well. Sanna Marin from Finland. You have Josep Borrell, Anna Botín, Albert Bourla from Pfizer, Durán Barroso from Goldman Sachs, Anne Applebaum, staff writer from The Atlantic. This woman is the author of books against the Russians, is a Russophobic propagandist, actually. She is married to Radek Sikorsky, that guy who was thanked the United States by bombing the Nord Stream. So you have this kind. I mean, the invited people here: Christopher Cavoli, Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. Niall Ferguson, important. This guy is the biographer of the Rothschild, the Rothschild family. And he wrote recently that Trump will win the elections next time. At least is what he thinks. And this article, actually, I read it in Spanish. I don't know if the author, Dr. Alfredo Jalife, as in English. I believe so, because he is a very important author. I will put it here in Spanish down below as well, the article, where Niall Ferguson says this, and this actually was one of the topics they have debated on this meeting this weekend. A 3 days meeting, highly secretive, in a hotel in Lisbon, no access to the press, and this is what worries about this group. This is very secretive. It is not democratic at all. So if you believe that we live in a democracy, it's your problem. We don't live in a democracy. Clearly, I mean, this is where many decisions are taken. Then it goes, this is a hierarchy actually, and that goes to the states, and the departments and ministries, and they take advantages of the ambiguous laws, and they pass through the system illegally or illegally to push their agenda. This is how it works. It's not a fantasy like some authors talk about this with a very kind of eyes wide shut movie from Kubrick. It is not quite like that. It's more practical, I think. But everything that we know is what they disclose and what they say that there is their website. I will put it here down below, the list and the meeting schedule. All the rest we can imagine, we can fantasize what are the decisions. We know what they will talk about. We don't know the content. We don't know what they debate. But as a matter of fact, for example, the key topics for discussions this year are artificial intelligence, banking system, China, energy transition, Europe, fiscal challenges, India, industrial policy and trade, NATO, Russia, transnational threats, Ukraine, US leadership. For example, next year, this year there will be the primaries in the United States, and next year the elections, presidential elections. And this is very important for this group. Either it will be Biden or Trump. But this is only an indication. What they decide at the end might be or not will turn reality, because they are not the only player on this secretive field. There are other. These is one of the important. They met since in 1954, and they gained importance actually. And since those times, 2000, 2005 onwards, when Stulin and others, David Icke, we all know him, talk about Bilderberg, then they kind of adapt themselves to the public opinion, and now they have a website, and they actually turn more clear what they speak about, at least. But of course the decisions we don't know. This is on the field of our imagination, but is a very important. There is an article by Pepe Escobar from the Strategic Culture Review that I will put it here down below, that talks about the G7 and the Bilderberg meetings. And for today, I think that is enough. See you soon.